Story 1. The Voice on the Baby Monitor. The night started the way so many ordinary nights do. Too calm, too safe to suggest anything sinister could be hiding in the shadows. Melissa's parents, Claire and Daniel, had finally decided they deserved a night out. Between juggling demanding jobs, caring for a 7-year-old, and nurturing their new 6-month-old baby, Emily, they were running on fumes. Hiring a babysitter was supposed to be a simple solution, a chance for them to breathe, to have just a few hours to themselves. They found her through a neighborhood recommendation, Anna, a soft-spoken 18-year-old with a warm smile and a resume that included Sunday school teaching and 3 years of childcare. She seemed perfect. Too perfect, maybe, but that didn't cross their minds at the time. When Anna arrived that evening, she wore a pastel sweater and jeans, hair pulled into a tidy braid. She greeted Emily with gentle coos and let Melissa show her how to work the baby bottles, the diaper stacker, the monitor. Melissa's parents left reluctantly, but reassured. Anna seemed capable, responsible. The night passed uneventfully, at least from their perspective. Dinner, laughter, wine. For once, they didn't worry. It wasn't until they came home and crawled into bed that unease crept in. Claire couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, though the house was silent except for the hum of the baby monitor beside her bed. Daniel teased her about being paranoid, kissed her forehead, and rolled over to sleep. Claire stayed awake. The monitor emitted its usual static hiss, the white noise parents quickly grow used to. She stared at the small, glowing green light, reassured by its presence. And then, a whisper. Faint. Low. Male. Don't cry. Claire bolted upright. At first, she thought she was imagining things, the way tired parents sometimes hallucinate. She pressed the monitor closer to her ear. The whisper came again, clearer this time. Don't cry. Your mommy and daddy can't hear you anymore. Her blood went cold. She shook Daniel awake, shoving the monitor at him. He listened. Static. Nothing else. He gave her a look halfway between concern and annoyance. You're exhausted, Claire. Get some sleep. But Claire knew what she heard. She flung the blanket off and rushed to the nursery. The door creaked open, revealing the dim glow of a nightlight. At first glance, everything seemed normal. The soft toys lined up on the shelf, the gentle hum of the humidifier. Except the crib was empty. Claire's heart stopped. Her knees almost buckled. Emily, she gasped, voice breaking. And then she saw her. Anna, standing in the corner of the room. Perfectly still. The baby monitor sat in her hand, red light blinking. She was whispering softly to the crib as though something were still lying there. But there was nothing. Claire's breath came shallow and ragged. Where's my baby? Anna turned her head slowly, far too slowly. A smile stretched across her face, but it didn't reach her eyes. She's safe, Anna said, her voice calm, measured. I told her not to cry. Claire lunged forward, yanking open the closet door on instinct, and there Emily was. Her tiny daughter, wrapped in a blanket, eyes wide and tear-streaked. She scooped her up, clutching her to her chest, body trembling with relief and terror. Daniel came running, confused and half asleep, but froze when he saw Anna in the corner. What the hell is going on? He demanded. Anna tilted her head, eyes glinting unnaturally in the nightlight's glow. You shouldn't have interrupted. She was almost asleep forever. Claire's scream caught in her throat. Daniel moved forward to grab Anna, but she stepped back into the shadows. For one terrifying moment, it looked like her body melted into the darkness itself. When Daniel lunged, the corner was empty. Gone. No sound of footsteps. No door creaking open. Just the baby monitor, lying on the carpet, its speaker crackling with faint whispers that no longer matched the room. That night was only the beginning. The next morning, Daniel tried to rationalize. Maybe Anna had been unstable. Maybe she fled through the window. The police were called, but her ID turned out to be fake. No Anna existed in the neighborhood. No references checked out. Claire couldn't shake the memory of the whispers. They hadn't been Anna's voice, she knew that much. They were deeper, older male. For days afterward, every time she turned on the monitor, the static seemed heavier, thicker. And sometimes, just at the edge of hearing, she thought she caught fragments of that voice again. Don't cry. I'll rock you to sleep, forever. Emily began to fuss at night, her eyes darting toward the dark corners of the room, her tiny fists clenched. Claire started sleeping in the nursery, clutching her daughter close, never letting the monitor sit on. One night, exhausted, she dozed off in the rocking chair. She woke to Emily's soft whimpering, and another voice, this time close, so close it brushed against her ear. "She likes it better when I sing." Claire snapped awake. The room was empty, except for the monitor. Its little green light blinked steadily from the floor, though it wasn't plugged in anymore. From that night forward, Claire swore she never again left her daughter alone with anyone. Babysitters, nannies, even well-meaning relatives. Something had come into their home under the guise of a babysitter, and whatever it was, it hadn't left. And sometimes, late at night, when the house was silent and Daniel was asleep, Claire still heard it. The faint crackle of static, and a whisper through the dark, "Don't cry. Mommy can't hear you anymore." Story 2, The Locked Basement. The first time Clara noticed the basement door was locked, she didn't think much of it. After all, babysitters weren't supposed to snoop around. She was 16, hired by the Bensons to watch their 2 kids, Sam and Lily, while the parents had their weekly Thursday night out. The house itself was old, with the kind of creaky wooden floors and narrow hallways that made every shadow look suspicious, but Clara had babysat in worse. The kids were sweet enough. Sam was 8 and obsessed with dinosaurs. Lily was 6 and carried a stuffed rabbit everywhere she went. They weren't difficult, and Clara liked the easy money. The only rule Mrs. Benson had given her was simple: don't let the children near the basement. It stays locked. At first, Clara didn't ask questions. Parents had storage areas, maybe dangerous tools or boxes stacked high. But every week, when she walked past that narrow wooden door at the end of the hall, she felt something, a faint draft against her ankles, a smell like damp earth and rust, and sometimes a sound. A faint scrape, a drag, something moving below. On her first Thursday, she chalked it up to nerves. The Bensons left just before sunset, giving Clara away from their polished SUV. The house felt strangely empty the moment the headlights disappeared down the street. She settled the kids with dinner, macaroni and cheese from a box, and listened half-distracted as Sam chattered about velociraptors. Later, as she tucked them into bed, Lily asked a question that made Clara pause. "Can you leave the hall light on?" "Of course," Clara said, smoothing the girl's blanket. Lily looked at the wall toward the end of the hall. Not the one upstairs. The one by the basement. Clara frowned. "Sweetie, that light doesn't work." "Yes, it does," Lily whispered. "Mommy keeps it off so he doesn't get mad." Clara laughed nervously, assuming it was a game or the vivid imagination of a 6-year-old. "Who's he?" But Lily only pulled the rabbit closer and turned her face toward the wall. That night, Clara lay on the couch downstairs, pretending to do homework while listening to the house breathe around her. The sound came again. A scrape from beneath the floor. A long pause. Then 2 short knocks. She froze, staring at the basement door. The kids were asleep upstairs. She told herself it was the pipes. Old houses made noises. That was all. By the second Thursday, curiosity gnawed at her. Clara tried the doorknob in passing. It was brass, worn smooth from years of use. But when she turned it, it held firm. Locked tight. Yet the strange smell was stronger this time, like rotting wood mixed with wet iron. That night, as she watched TV, she heard Lily's small feet padding into the living room. The girl stood pale-faced, holding her rabbit. "He was louder tonight," Lily said softly. "Who was?" "The man in the basement." Clara's stomach dropped. "Lily, there's nobody down there." "Yes, there is," the girl insisted. "He asked me to let him out." Clara crouched to the girl's level, heart hammering. "Did you hear him talking?" Lily nodded slowly. "He said he's hungry." Before Clara could reply, Sam appeared at the top of the stairs, sleepy-eyed. "Lily, stop making things up. Mom said never talk about him." Clara didn't sleep well that night. On her 4th Thursday, Clara noticed something new. The hall light near the basement door, the one Lily had asked about, was on. She hadn't turned it on. Neither had the kids. And yet, there it glowed faintly, casting a sickly yellow circle over the locked door. She told herself the wiring was faulty, or maybe Mrs. Benson had flipped the switch before leaving, but the thought lingered. Later, as she scrolled through her phone, a new sound rose beneath the floorboards. Not just scraping this time. Whispering. Low, insistent, impossible to understand. She pressed a pillow over her ears. The whispers grew louder. Finally, Clara bolted up, heart pounding. She crept to the hallway. The basement door stood there, immovable, ordinary, and yet she swore the knob twitched, just slightly, as though someone inside had tried to turn it. She fled upstairs, locking herself in the children's room until dawn. By the 6th week, Clara couldn't take it anymore. She had to know. The kids were asleep, breathing softly. The Bensons wouldn't be home for hours. The house was silent, except for that faint rustling beneath her feet. She fetched a hairpin from her bag and crouched before the basement door. Her hands trembled as she worked the lock, heart racing at every tiny click. When it finally gave way with a faint snick, a cold draft rushed against her face. The door creaked open. A smell like mildew and old blood washed over her. The staircase yawned below, disappearing into shadows. "Hello," Clara whispered. Silence. She descended slowly, the wood groaning beneath each step. The air grew colder, heavier. She clutched her phone, using its weak light to cut through the darkness. At the bottom, the basement stretched out, low ceiling, dirt floor, shelves of rusting tools. In the far corner, something moved. Clara's light caught it. A figure crouched in the shadows. It was a man, or what had once been a man. His skin was paper-thin and gray, stretched too tightly over his bones. His eyes glowed faintly in the light, milky and wet. Chains rattled at his wrists, bolted to the wall. Clara stumbled back with a strangled cry. The man grinned, teeth yellow and broken. "You shouldn't be down here." Her scream stuck in her throat. "What are you?" she whispered. The grin widened. "Hungry." The chains rattled as he lunged forward, straining against the bolts. Clara turned and fled, scrambling up the stairs so fast she nearly tripped. The door slammed shut behind her as though pushed from the other side. She pressed her weight against it, gasping, until silence returned. When the Bensons returned later that night, Clara tried to act normal. But her hands shook as she handed them the keys, her voice breaking as she said goodnight. "Mrs. Benson paused, frowning. "Clara, did you go into the basement?" Clara's blood ran cold. "And no, Mrs. Benson's eyes narrowed, then softened into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Good. Some doors are best left closed." She turned away, humming softly, while Mr. Benson locked the door again with a key from his pocket. As Clara stepped into the night air, she realized her babysitting job was over. She would never return. But the sound still haunted her, the clatter of chains, the rasp of that whisper. Hungry. And in her dreams, she always found herself back at the bottom of that staircase, staring into those milky, glowing eyes. Story 3. The Mirror Game. When 12-year-old Emma's parents decided to hire a babysitter for the summer, they weren't expecting someone like Kara. She wasn't much older than Emma herself, maybe 17, with heavy eyeliner, chipped black nail polish, and a silver pendant shaped like an eye that always dangled around her neck. Kara wasn't like the neighborhood college students who played board games and microwave pizza. She was strange, aloof, and constantly fidgeting with her pendant, as though it meant something. At first, Emma thought Kara was simply bored. But it didn't take long to realize Kara had her own way of keeping herself entertained. One muggy evening, as thunder rumbled far away, Kara asked Emma if she had ever played the mirror game. Emma shook her head. Kara smirked. "It's easy. All you need is a mirror, the lights off, and a little courage." Emma felt a chill, but curiosity sparked inside her. "What happens in the game?" Kara leaned closer, her voice dropping low. "You stare into the mirror and say your full name 3 times. If you're lucky, you'll see your reflection blink, even if you don't. But if you're really lucky, your reflection will smile at you." Emma laughed nervously. "That's creepy." "That's the point," Kara said with a grin. "Wanna try?" Emma shook her head, unsettled. "No. I'll get in trouble if I play weird games." Kara just shrugged. "Suit yourself." But the idea had already been planted. And that night, as rain pattered softly against her window, Emma couldn't stop thinking about it. The next Thursday, Kara came over again, a bag slung over her shoulder. After the kids ate dinner, she sent Emma's little brother, Max, upstairs to bed, then dug into her bag. "Let's play," Kara whispered, pulling out a tall, oval hand mirror. Its frame was ornate, tarnished silver etched with curling vines. It looked far older than Kara should have owned. Emma hesitated. "Where did you get that?" "My grandmother," Kara said, stroking the frame. "She taught me how to play." Before Emma could object, Kara switched off the living room lamp, plunging them into near darkness except for the faint glow of the streetlight outside. She handed Emma the mirror. "Say your name," Kara urged. Emma's throat was dry. "Emma Walker." "Again," Kara whispered. "Emma Walker." "Louder." "Emma Walker." The room seemed to hold its breath. Emma stared into the mirror. At first, it was just her pale, nervous face staring back. But then, her reflection blinked. She hadn't. Emma gasped and nearly dropped the mirror. "See?" Kara grinned. "It's real." Emma shoved the mirror back. "I don't like this." Kara rolled her eyes. "Don't be such a baby. The game's harmless." Unless, she leaned closer, eyes gleaming. "You say the wrong name." The following days, Emma felt uneasy in her own home. Mirrors seemed to ripple when she passed them. She caught glimpses of her reflection turning its head too late, smiling faintly when she wasn't. One night, brushing her teeth, she saw something impossible, her reflection standing behind her instead of mimicking her. She screamed and backed away. By the time her father ran in, the mirror showed nothing unusual. Her parents dismissed it as nightmares, but Emma knew better. The next time Kara babysat, Emma confronted her. "What did you do to me?" she demanded. Kara tilted her head, smirking. "Oh, so you saw her. Who? Your other you. She lives on the other side. The more you play, the more she notices you." Emma's stomach turned. "I don't want her to notice me." Kara's smirk widened. "It's too late for that." The storm that night was fierce. Wind rattled the windows. The power flickered, then died, leaving the house in darkness. Kara lit a single candle, its flame flickering wildly. Emma wanted nothing more than to hide under her blankets, but Kara insisted. "This is the perfect night for the mirror game," Kara said, placing the old mirror on the floor between them. "The storm makes it stronger." Emma shook her head. "I don't want to play anymore." "Then she'll come on her own," Kara whispered. Terrified, Emma gave in. She stared into the glass as Kara urged her on. "Say your name." "Emma Walker." Again, "Emma Walker." This time, the reflection didn't blink. It smiled. Slowly, unnaturally. Emma whimpered. "Stop." But Kara's eyes glittered with excitement. "Keep going." "No." Emma shoved the mirror, but instead of sliding across the floor, it seemed to ripple like the surface of water. Her reflection's hand pressed outward, pressing against the glass from the inside. Emma screamed. The candle went out. For a moment, the living room was swallowed in pitch darkness. Then, something cold brushed Emma's arm. When the lights flickered back on, the mirror lay shattered in pieces. Emma was sobbing on the floor. Kara was gone. Not gone upstairs. Not gone outside. Gone. The police searched the house, the yard, the neighborhood. No trace of Kara was ever found. Emma tried to explain, but no one believed her. Only Emma noticed, weeks later, that Kara's reflection still lingered in the shards of the broken mirror, smiling, waiting, pressing her palm against the glass. And sometimes, when Emma walks past a mirror, she sees not herself, but Kara, standing just behind her shoulder, lips curling in that same unnatural smile. Story 4. The Wrong Babysitter. The Petersons were a careful family. Mark and Dana double-checked locks before bed, unplugged appliances when leaving the house, and never let their children, 7-year-old Lily and 5-year-old Ben, stay with strangers. Their babysitter list was short: trusted neighbors, family friends, and one responsible high school senior named Claire. So when Dana called Claire one Friday evening to ask if she could babysit, she felt a wash of relief when the girl said yes immediately. "She'll be here at 7, Dana told Mark as she adjusted her earrings in the mirror. "Right on time as always." At 7 sharp, the doorbell rang. Claire stood there, or at least, someone who looked like her. Same long brown hair, Same denim jacket, same soft, practiced smile. "Thanks for coming," Dana said warmly, ushering her inside. "The kids are already in pajamas. Bedtime's at 9, and there's pizza in the fridge." "Got it," the babysitter said, voice calm and pleasant. Mark and Dana kissed the kids goodnight, promised to be back by midnight, and left. The house was quiet. The babysitter locked the door behind them. At first, everything seemed normal. Lily and Ben sat on the living room rug, playing with blocks while the babysitter scrolled silently through her phone. But Lily kept sneaking glances at her. Something felt off. "Claire?" Lily asked timidly. "Yes?" the babysitter answered without looking up. "Your voice sounds weird." The babysitter's lips twitched. "I have a cold." Lily frowned. "You don't look sick." That made the babysitter glance up. Her smile was wide, too wide, and it didn't reach her eyes. "Don't worry about it." At 9 o'clock, the babysitter stood abruptly. "Time for bed." Ben yawned and shuffled upstairs without protest, but Lily hung back. "Can you tell us a story first?" she asked. Claire always told them funny bedtime stories about school and her goofy little brother. The babysitter tilted her head. Of course. She led them upstairs, tucking them into bed. She sat in the chair in the corner of their room, hands folded neatly in her lap. "Once upon a time," she began, "there were two children who didn't listen to their babysitter. They stayed awake after bedtime. They snuck out of their rooms. And because of that," her smile stretched wider, "something bad happened to them." Ben whimpered. Lily clutched his hand under the blankets. "That's not a story," Lily whispered. The babysitter leaned forward, voice dropping to a hiss. "It's a warning." Downstairs, the landline rang. The babysitter rose silently and left the room. Lily slid out of bed. "Stay here," she whispered to Ben. She crept down the hall, peering over the railing. The babysitter answered the phone. "Hello." Her voice was strange now, lower, raspier. There was a pause. Then Lily heard her mother's voice faintly through the receiver. "Hi, honey, just checking in. Is everything all right?" The babysitter's lips stretched into that unsettling grin. "Yes," she said smoothly. "The kids are asleep. Everything is fine." But the voice didn't sound like Claire's anymore. Lily ran back to the bedroom, heart racing. She shook Ben. "That's not Claire." Ben's eyes filled with tears. "What do we do?" Before Lily could answer, footsteps creaked on the stairs. Slow. Deliberate. The babysitter's voice floated up the hall. "Kids?" Lily's gaze darted around the room. Then she remembered something. Claire always kept her backpack with her when she babysat, filled with homework and snacks. But this babysitter hadn't brought one. The footsteps stopped outside their door. The handle began to turn. The door creaked open, and the babysitter stepped inside. Her smile hadn't moved since the moment she walked through the front door. Her eyes seemed darker now, like pools of ink. "Why are you awake?" she asked softly. Neither child answered. The babysitter tilted her head. "That's okay. You'll learn." She crossed the room and gently pulled the curtains shut. The air grew colder. Then she whispered, almost to herself, "It's been so long since I had little ones to keep me company." Lily grabbed Ben's hand and pulled him toward the closet. They squeezed inside, pulling the door shut. The babysitter's footsteps stopped in front of the closet. "I like hide and seek," she whispered. At 11:58, Mark and Dana pulled into the driveway, chatting about the movie they'd just seen. But as soon as they stepped inside, something felt wrong. The air was cold. The lights were dim. "Claire," Dana called. No answer. They rushed upstairs. The children were huddled in the closet, shaking, eyes wide with terror. "What happened?" Dana cried, scooping them into her arms. "Not Claire," Lily whispered over and over. It wasn't Claire. Mark searched the house top to bottom, but there was no sign of the babysitter. At 12:05, the real Claire called Dana's phone. "I'm so sorry," Claire said breathlessly. "I just got your message. I was out of town all weekend. Did you still need me to babysit tonight?" The police came. They searched, questioned, investigated. But they never found the girl who pretended to be Claire. The children refused to sleep alone for months. Lily never forgot the smile, the one that didn't move, didn't blink, didn't change. And sometimes, late at night, she swears she hears that same low, rasping voice whispering from the hallway. Time for bed. Story 5, The Final Call. The Andersons lived in a quiet neighborhood, the kind of place where porch lights glowed warmly, and the most excitement was the occasional lost dog. When they hired a babysitter for their two children, Emily, 9, and Jack, 6, they expected an uneventful evening. The girl they chose was new. Her name was Sarah. She came recommended by a co-worker of Mr. Anderson's, and though she seemed shy during introductions, she was polite and smiled sweetly at the kids. "She'll be fine, Mrs. Anderson whispered to her husband as they slipped on their coats. "We'll only be gone a few hours." At 7 p.m., they left. Sarah closed the door behind them, locked it, and turned to the children. The night began normally. Sarah ordered pizza, helped Emily with a puzzle, and read Jack a silly story before bed. By 9:30, both children were tucked in. The house was still. Too still. Sarah sat on the couch, scrolling through her phone. That's when the landline rang. She jumped. The Andersons had warned her the phone almost never rang. Hesitant, she picked it up. "Hello." Silence. Then, faint breathing. "Who is this?" she asked. A voice rasped, "Check the children." The line went dead. Sarah's pulse quickened. She ran upstairs and peeked into the kids' rooms. Both were sound asleep, safe. She told herself it was a prank call. But 10 minutes later, the phone rang again. This time the voice was louder, harsher. "Why haven't you checked the children?" Sarah's hand trembled. "Who is this?" A low chuckle answered, followed by the click of the line cutting out. She slammed the receiver down, chest tight. Determined not to panic, Sarah called the restaurant where the Andersons were having dinner. No answer. She tried Mr. Anderson's cell, straight to voicemail. The phone rang again. She didn't answer. But the answering machine picked up automatically, and the voice filled the living room. "You can't ignore me. I'm already inside the house." Sarah's blood ran cold. She bolted upstairs, bursting into Emily's room. The little girl stirred. "What's wrong? Get up. Get Jack. We're leaving." But when Sarah reached Jack's room, the bed was empty. Her breath caught. The closet door creaked open, and Jack stepped out, sleepy, rubbing his eyes. "Sarah," he mumbled. "Why was there a man in my room?" Sarah's scream lodged in her throat. She grabbed both children and fled down the stairs. The phone rang again. Without thinking, she snatched it up. "Leave us alone," she shouted. The voice was calm now, almost pleased. "I already have." At that exact moment, the front door swung open. Mr. and Mrs. Anderson stepped inside, smiling from their evening out. But Sarah's relief evaporated instantly, because the Andersons weren't alone. Standing just behind them, half hidden in the shadows, was a tall figure with a grin too wide to be human. The police never found the man. The calls couldn't be traced. Sarah swore she saw him leave with the Andersons that night, but the parents claimed no one else had been there. Emily and Jack would later whisper about that night to each other, long after bedtime, remembering the strange man who had watched them from the darkness. And sometimes, when the house phone rang in the dead of night, Emily swore she still heard it, that same rasping voice, asking the same question over and over. "Why haven't you checked the children?"